everyone, my name is Dani and welcome to my channel. Today I want to take you guys with me as I set up my brand new bullet journal, and I also want to include some discussion that was inspired by a video that I saw by Rachael Stephen. In Rachel's video, she basically explained her experience with bullet journaling and how it has evolved over the years. So I'm gonna explain that and explain some of her points that she makes in her video. So let's get on to it. So I have been using a bullet journal system since I was a senior in high school, and as I flip through, you guys can kind of see what my thought process was in making my journal. I was basically trying to figure out how a bullet journal system would work best for me, because I was used to using pre-made planners, some of which were actually provided to me by my school. So that was nice, but I realized I wanted to do a little bit more with my planning. Over my years of bullet journaling, I kind of found out that bullet journaling took a lot of effort for me to set up, especially when I would make a themed spread, and I would have to set up all of my daily spreads and weekly spreads and my monthly spread. It was a lot of stuff that I had to draw. It took a lot of time. And to me, it eventually started to feel like a chore. On YouTube and Instagram especially, you see all these beautifully created bullet journals, and I thought that mine had to be like that. But when I tried to make these very nice spreads, it ended up taking a lot of time, and it always just felt like a drag. Gradually, as I have morphed in my journey of bullet journaling, I have noticed that, especially in the last few months, my bullet journal has kind of morphed into just a glorified to-do list. I found that I dreaded looking in my notebook because I would look at my notebook and see that I had not accomplished all the tasks that I wanted to get done, and it made me feel bad that I had not been as productive as I wanted to be that day. And I have noticed this a trend with myself, especially since my school was forced to go online because of the situation going on in the world right now. And I don't think that is really the purpose of the bullet journaling method, is to make a to-do list. The bullet journaling method, especially according to the video done by Rachael, it's really meant to be a productivity tool as well as kind of a checkup on your mental health as well. And I think that is really what I was missing from my bullet journal. So that brings us to where we are now, in which I'm going to be using my new bullet journal as a fresh start to kind of revamping my bullet journal system. So here's my new bullet journal, which I have started with a quote that says, "Stop worrying about things you can't control," which I think is very relevant to the times we are in right now. And just knowing myself, I know that I am a list maker and I like to make lists and write things down. My roommate is also like this, and she will write little notes on post-it notes, so I kind of took up that habit. But now watching Rachel's video, I realized that I can kind of incorporate that into my bullet journal and keep it all in one place, which is quite appealing to me because the post-it notes can be quite disorganized and get lost very easily. My new monthly spread looks a lot like Rachel's because I figure I would start out by emulating a bit of her design, and then I can of course edit it to my needs as I see fit, but I want to see how this works for me. But I like that her idea is to make the monthly spread a bit of like that aesthetic Instagram, YouTube kind of look to the bullet journal, while the rest of the spreads are quite simple. I like this method that she uses to make her calendar, because in my other bullet journals I used to draw out a calendar in squares, and I always found that I would never look back on it even though it had some important information. So I think laying it out this way will hopefully motivate me to go back and look at this page. I mostly need my bullet journal to be functional, and it doesn't need to be a show to anyone because my bullet journal is primarily for me, and I can make it as simple or as elaborate as I want. But for me, keeping it simple seems to be the best route for me. The next thing I decided to add into my new bullet journal is adding a list of goals for the month and organized by specific categories. And this is also inspired by Rachael, but I used to do this also in some of my older bullet journals. So I've organized this into goals for YouTube and goals for life and other activities. And then I put in a habit tracker and a mood tracker, and you will notice that I did not draw these because these take a really long time to draw out, and I've just realized that I just do not have the time or the energy to put in to drawing out the habit tracker and mood tracker. So I just downloaded these for free from the internet and printed them out and glued them into my bullet journal. So all I had to do was just label them. I find I never really use the trackers, but hopefully this will motivate me to actually use the trackers because they don't take as much time for me to make. And now finally moving on to the last innovation with my bullet journal. This, I think, is the most important thing that I took away from Rachel's video. The concept of the rolling daily. So essentially, you start with the first day of the month, and then when you're finished writing down all of your tasks and your notes for that day, you just will write the next day wherever you leave off. So as you saw in my older bullet journals, I would restrict a certain amount of space for each day. But using the rolling daily no longer restricts you, so you can write as much as you want per day, and there's no concern about running out of space. You don't have to really filter yourself. And as I briefly mentioned, not only am I going to write down my tasks for the day, but I'm also going to write down my little notes for the day that usually I would put on post-it notes. And Rachel has actually said that this is part of the original purpose of the bullet journal, which is to ease your mind of all the things that are swimming in your head and to externalize it on paper to free yourself from thinking about all of those random things. So that, guys, was my setup for my new bullet journal and a brief discussion on where I sit with my bullet journaling. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are on bullet journaling down below, and I will see you guys all later. Bye!